Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all-new Deep Cuts Live. I'm your host, Antoine Reid, and if this is your first time watching, please hit that subscribe or follow button to be notified of any time we have new content or new interviews. Today, we're going to be doing some streaming with some people from New York City. We're going to be speaking to Jesus and David from Martinez Cigars. I met David at the trade show that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks back in Vegas, last month. And I definitely wanted to have him on, and was glad that Jesus was able to actually join us as well. And let's bring on both of our guests.
How you doing?
Hey guys. Yeah, so thank you for coming on Deep Cuts and sharing your story with us today. Like I said, I met David at the PCA trade show, and we had a good conversation, and I definitely wanted to follow up with basically this interview to kind of learn more about the company and what you all are doing.
Perfect.
Definitely. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I've heard good things about you all throughout the past. I was on the Cigar Pulpit podcast, I think, during the pandemic, and both of them were talking about Martinez Cigars and how great you all were, and how I definitely needed to do something with you all. And I think Amendola, I've been speaking to them, and they've mentioned you a couple of times as well. So definitely have a great reputation in the industry, and y'all are doing some great things. So I'm happy to have you on the show to kind of share your story with everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been in business quite a while, so we know a lot of people in the industry, and the reputation, because we just work hard. Small company, but we try to do everything well. If you want to be in any type of business for the long run, you got to do the things right. So we strive for that.
Yeah, we appreciate Amendola and the Pulpit guys, kind words, and it's good doing business with people like that. So we're happy, and we're glad that people are enjoying what we do.
Yeah. Now, because you all are in New York City, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So where about in the city are you all?
We're in Manhattan.
Okay.
Manhattan, couple of blocks from Penn Station, so we're in Midtown, 29th Street, right off 7th Avenue.
Yeah, I was thinking that because back in the day when I used to go to New York City every summer for a little vacation getaway, I feel like I passed your store at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've been in the same location for 48 years, so pretty good chance that you did.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm excited to kind of learn more about you all, because obviously I haven't been to New York City for the last couple of years, but like I said, you all have continued to thrive, and I know that probably the last 2 years has been a bit of a challenge with the pandemic and now the economy, and I know New York City is always in the news for this or that reason, so you have your share of I would say obstacles probably to work around and deal with. So congratulations for making it through all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting period for us. Actually, coming back from TPE, right when they did the shutdown and everything, we were like, wow, what's going to happen next? And we did well at the TPE and getting all our orders ready to go out, and all of a sudden everything shuts down, and we're just looking at each other like, okay, now what? And thank God for podcasts like the Pulpit and all these other different podcasts that were out there. We were able to just get our brand out there, and fortunately we've been doing really well since the pandemic, and knock on wood, it just continues to go.
Yeah, so I always like to start at the beginning of the story when we kind of have people like you on to kind of figure out how you all got here to where you are today. So could each of you kind of share the story of like what was your journey like into the cigar industry, and what was your first experience with cigars?
Mine was very easy. I was pretty much born here in this store. Yeah, because my father, he was a cigar roller in the Dominican Republic, and then he came to the state, and he started working early 70s. I started working as a cigar roller, so all he ever did. And in '74, he decided to open up these stores. I was born in '76, so as a kid, I didn't come in much. But then, as a teenage, I used to come home to help out, with the other side of the business, like uh, translating for him, and all kinds of little stuff. And then eventually, I decided to come full time, and that's when I really learned a lot from him. In 2003, I took over. I took over the business. So again, I was pretty much born into the cigar industry, and also even when I was on vacation, where I go to Dominican Republic, Tambourine, that's nothing but cigars. So even on vacation, I was surrounded by the tobacco industry. Yeah.
And for me, I got in working in a cigar accessory company here in Manhattan. That's how I got into introduced to cigars, working there, and then I ended up opening up my own cigar shop, and that's how I met Jesus. So through that, I started selling his cigars out of my shop, and then just that's pretty much how I got into it. Just having my own shop, and then coming here for so many years, I got out of the industry for a little bit, concentrated on other stuff, and then wanted to get back in. And Jesus just said, "Why don't you just come back here and start doing something with us?" And that's pretty much where it came. So starting from working as a cigar accessory, that's going back, and then around 2001, 2002, I ended up my shop, and then I'm going here about almost 6 years now working here, but been coming here for almost 20 some years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Jesus, did you always feel like you were going to get into the cigar industry? Because I know, speaking to a lot of people, sometimes those who grew up in the industry have like this period of time where they're like they are resistant to the idea of getting into the same business as their family, and then it's like a surprise to them. They're like, "Oh wow, I do like this, and I'm going to get into it."
Yeah, that's how exactly happened to me. I was going to school. I always had an idea that I wanted to help my dad with the business, so I went to college and took on business major, and I was like, coming back and forth, and as a teenager, there's a period of time you're like, I don't know if I want to do this, but then when I think I was around 19, I had a good conversation with my dad, and this was like around the cigar boom in the '90s, and that's when I realized, like, man, I I can work in a family business, eventually be my own boss. At the time, being your own boss sound great. You didn't know that means all the responsibilities on you. So that kind of was the thing. But definitely the big conversation that I had with my dad, because at that time he was already doing it for over 30 years. So he was showing a little tired, and he wanted new blood in the business. New ideas. The internet, credit card, all that stuff. That was too much for him. So the fact that he trusted me, you he kind of like put a little push, and that's when I realized, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So it took a little bit of push, but I was always here, and then I think that's the greatest move that, because I love it. That's why I'm still doing it for so long, and I'm here pretty much every day. So yeah,
Definitely every day.
worked out.
And it's funny because you think of like Miami and Florida in general having such a strong cigar culture, but New York City especially has a strong cigar culture. How has the cigar, scene kind of changed in New York City since you've kind of been in charge of the business?
um, you know, I hear that like in the 20s and 30s, he was huge. it was a huge cigar industry, but mostly like the European style cigars. But since I know the business, now right after the cigar boom, the cigar scene blew up a little more. Then it died down a little bit, and then we had to deal with several smoking ban. So there you have it. And but since I would say for the past 5 6 years, you have a lot of lounges opening up, and it's just going back to where it was like in the mid 90s. So it's definitely coming back because some of the band took kind of a hit. So yeah, that put like a little pause on the grow of the industry or the cigar scene in New York. But like I said, the last 5 6 years, there's a lot of groups too. A lot of cigar group that keep pushing. Um, just great for us for the industry. That we have all these guys helping out, especially the little guys. We don't have like a marketing budget. So yeah, it's the podcast, those group, that keep throwing your name out there and help out.
Yeah, I think like you were saying, when the cigarette and smoking ban pretty much kicked in, a lot of the lounges that were here pretty much shut down.
Yeah.
So you're down to maybe like, I think it was like 3 or 4 in the city at the time.
Well, so those are cigar bars.
Yeah, cigar bar. But now you're starting to see like little lounges pop up, especially uptown and different parts of the borough, and you're just seeing a lot more people smoking. And it's funny when people come in to visit or buy cigars from different places, they think that you're not allowed to smoke in the streets or anything like that, and we're just like, no, you can do pretty much anything. It's just there's just certain areas you can't smoke in. But other than that, it's pretty strong in terms of cigars here, and the demographics definitely changed too. It's not just your typical middle age where it was back in the day. It's younger people, like 25 and 45 year demographics that comes in and smokes. Women smoke. Yeah, so we're seeing changes, right?
Yeah.
Really, I mean, they come in and in your mind you're thinking, well, okay, and they're just like, no, I want this type of cigar. I want this.
They know the stuff. Like, well, they know. They know a lot of guys. A lot of guys.
Yeah. So it's definitely changing, and New York is definitely has a good presence with cigars.
I think that's cool, and it's funny because I think when you think of New York, like just sitting here doing the interview with you all, you hear the cars honking the horn.
Oh yeah.
You hear the people coming into the store and stuff like that, and that's just like that hustle and bustle of New York. And it's like just that, I think that makes it, probably just so different for you all, because in Miami, I mean, it's a different vibe. I mean, you still have the traffic and stuff, but it's not that same New York vibe. And I'm sure you have like a lot of foot traffic that's coming in from people who are walking. I'm always, I know people who come from New York, and they like where I live now. Like there's somebody who moved into my mom's neighborhood, and she's just like, I'll just walk there. My mom's like, that's like $5. No, but New York, that's what we did. And I was like, yeah. And I was telling my mom, I was like, that's like nothing to them. I mean, I was like, you just don't even think about. I mean, it's just like I said, a different lifestyle. But I'm sure that you all kind of benefit from that, because like I said, you get a lot of the foot traffic. You get a lot of people who want to explore this, in the city and experience the everything it has to offer. And I'm pretty sure like stores and outlets like Martinez kind of gives them that real, they could go uptown somewhere and experience a completely different side of the cigar industry. And then you all have like a more like that home family, familiar vibe, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's funny because we're right off 7th Avenue. So if you would have gone on with you like 2 or 3 hours earlier, you would have heard the construction site next door. So that would have been anything else. But what's kind of interesting when people come in, we know you're here because when we're walking down 7th Avenue, you can just smell the cigar smell. and it like drags them back around the corner, and they're like, "Oh, here it is." And they walk in, I'm like, "Man, I can smell you halfway down the block." I'm like, "Yeah, that's appetizing."
It's like you said, we have even by different boroughs. The cigar scene is different. If you go to Queens, you go uptown, Brooklyn, and everybody got their own little style. For us, we manufacture. We more of a factory, so it's a different vibe. And this is mostly a working area, like so people just come in, grab their stuff, and on the run. Because we that type of neighborhood. You have a lot of the lounges in Long Island, in Queens, Brooklyn, where it's more residential. So just people go there just to hang out, and it's a different vibe. It's so good, But our stuff is definitely different. It's more manufactured in and out,
When they call him. They're like, "What time you guys open till?" Like, "We're open till 7."
Yeah.
They get here and they're like, "Oh, this isn't a lounge." They're like, "No, but you can find a chair or sit on top of the tobacco. You can do whatever you want. Just it's what you make of it." So, and when they end up staying, they're like, "Wow, this is a lot better experience than going to a lounge and just not just sitting there and just your typical experience at a lounge. You're here, you're gonna meet a lot of different people, and we want you to have fun, and that's pretty much what we're about. I mean, we're pretty chill right now, but
Yeah,
coming on a Friday, Saturday, it's a whole different thing."
Yeah, and you were talking about the different demographics that you see coming into your store or factory. And I think I was having this discussion with someone a couple of days ago just about how the cigar industry, like, I don't think it's changed per se, but I think it's gotten a lot more, maybe because of podcasts and social media, like the diversity in the industry is a lot more exposed than it was, a decade ago. A decade ago, you would flip through, Cigar Aficionado, and you would think like this was just, a lifestyle for the rich and famous, the yachts and the Rolexes and all that stuff. And then you get to know the industry and you're like, it's not hardly that at all. Like, it's not really, and it's just like a different.
And our store has been like that. Like, again, this is like a more blue collar store area. You have a lot of construction. You have some office people, but you get a lot of cops, a lot of fighters, so a lot of everything. So our stores have always been that diverse. So that did not surprise me. So some other people, yes, like you say, looking at Cigar Aficionado and the advertising, these so expensive drink, this this mansion. It's like, whoa, this is only for rich and famous. But in our case, no, it's always something like that. We have worked with all kinds of people, especially when we do the events. We've done events for celebrities, Wall Street, the whole nine. But our shop is you get everything. You get from a movie star to just the guy selling coffee in the corner. Just everybody. It's always been like that. It's part of New York. In the area that we are, that people just chill. If they want to have a cigar, they don't care. In here, there's no dress code. I mean, like,
there's no fancy drink, just a Corona.
Yeah, when they see us, they're like, all right, this is like a neighborhood shop, like anything goes. Yeah.
In terms of demographics, again, how has the people's, what they look for in a cigar, how has that changed over the years since you've been making cigars and creating blends and stuff like that? Has that changed any?
Yeah, definitely. And not so much the demographic, but all the information out there. People know their stuff now, and they're very particular what they're looking for. And when you're creating a blend, obviously you're creating a blend for the market, not for yourself. So you start listening to the customer. You start listening to you guys. So you guys are all over. And Dave, he always like, okay, people are talking about these rappers. Like, for example, San Andre rappers. And everybody for a few years they've been going crazy. So everybody keep talking. You're like, oh, hey, so let's do something in San Andre. If everybody's going. So yeah, it's not so much the demographic, but the amount of information out there, and people are really into it, and they do know the stuff. So um, like early again back to the 90s, most people they just want to like mild, medium, and strong. Nothing, nothing as specific. No retro, no this, no spec. But now they are more demanding, which is great. It's great. You force the manufacturer to, in order to stay in business, they better do things right. You know.
I think that's interesting to hear because, like you said, there's so much information out there, and just how we talk about cigars, I think, has kind of changed a little bit. I think some manufacturers kind of struggle with how to talk about their products sometimes because it's like, do you just give wrapper binder filler, and then some consumers want more information. They want like, what was the inspiration behind the cigar? Like how was it grown? Like what year is it from? Like what was going on?
Yeah.
Like so much information you could give. It's almost like, what information do you actually put out there? What's too much information?
Yeah. We usually it's like the origin of the tobacco, how we came about with the idea, because like let's say I'll tell you, I made this cigar with Nicaraguan filler, Ecuador binder, whatever wrapper. It's not that specific, but it gives the consumer an idea of what it would kind of be like. Because, they already had Nicaraguan filler, they already have that, whatever wrapper you're talking about. But, obviously, you're not going to give them this sack blend.
Right.
You're not going to say, well, I got these beast from I got this second friends, unless it's a friend of yours, the sack blend. But you try to give them as much as you can that they can identify what before they light the cigar, if they're gonna like it or not, Because people they know this stuff.
Yeah.
They know what how Ecuadorian wrapper tastes. They know what piso, seco. So it's great. It's great. Like I said, it forced the manufacturer to do the right thing. And,
Is it possible?
Even one of the guys that came in and wanted to do sorry about that, but one of the guys that wanted to get a blend done with us. It was funny. We're like you said, it's typical like a Nicaraguan, Ecuadorian, just that basis. But he comes in, he wants Steli, this, like down to the specifics. We're like, okay, yeah, we'll do that for you.
Yeah,
exactly
go to Coca-Cola and ask them, like, come on, man.
So we kind of look at each other like, oh, all right, sure. But I think one of the advantages that Jesus has as a blender, I think that I don't know other manufacturers might have. We have like a walking tasting clientele that comes in. So mess around with stuff and just like, oh, let's see if they like this. And he gets the feedback a little bit of what it is. So it's an advantage for us because we get directly to the consumer on what works and what doesn't work or what we could change on certain things. So it's like a revolving focus group that always comes in. And it's one of our biggest advantages, I think, in terms of him knowing exactly what he's looking for and what he needs to change. So that's why I think, for me personally, I think he's like the secret to everything out there now. And I always feel like his name's got to get out there just so they know who he is.
We have that advantage. We get that direct feedback, from. We do have our regular customer. We have our friends that we trust their palate. So every time we're working on, we have quite a group of guys that we send the stuff for them to let us know what they think. And, we've been doing it for years, so they pretty much straight up. But then we have the customer direct relationship right there that it's like, huh. And, once you start hearing the same thing over and over, then you just change things, You didn't have an ego because it's like, hey, I'm not gonna make this cigar just for me. Just because I like it, everybody has to like it. No. The key is you gotta listen, and we do have that advantage. We get direct feedback from a group of friends, and then from the customer. They just let you know right away, especially in New York. They let you know when they don't like something. It's like,
They're like, no, and they put it right down in front of you, like, no.
yeah, that's you know. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and David, I know that you work with the product development side of the business. So I'm sure that's a pretty difficult job because cigars are, I mean, all over the place right now. You have so much going on. I mean, just going to the trade show, you kind of see the variety and how everyone is, there's so much overlap in terms of what tobacco they're working with, but they each have their own kind of products that they've developed and brands that they've created from that. So what is your job like? Like how easy or how hard is it to really develop a brand?
It's a lot more difficult than I thought it would be, but a lot of it has to bounce off a lot of things off of him. Like I come up with some crazy ideas, and he's just like, let's rework that one. But looking at what's at the market and see what's changing, the brands that are coming in, the names of the cigars, and here we're used to that traditional type of branding, marketing, the whole nine. And then when you see what's out there, you're like, all right, we have to switch some things up, just a little tweak here and there. But for us is that we really want to just concentrate on what we're about. We're a New York-based company with a strong tie to Tamboril and Dominican Republic, and that's where everybody's from. So for me, in terms of developing a product and stuff that comes out, the main focus is what reflects our company and his family name and pretty much New York City. So I kind of see what's out there and what the direction everybody's going, and I kind of like look at it as like, how can I put that into what we're doing? And for Jesus, one of his biggest concerns and one of the things they want to focus on is his family, the family consistency. So we want to do a lot of traditional, heritage type things that really represents the brand, but also want to bring in something that's going to reflect where we're from. And that's where, like the new line that we're coming out with, the La Bodega series, it's something that reflects New York City that we're used to growing up. So, and that's something that most people can relate to, and it's a little different from that family tradition. But the core line that comes out here, the main focus is just staying with that tradition of, the Martinez family, what reflects on the tradition. And for me, so it's not as difficult as probably, let's say, another company, because I have so much to choose from here just in the city alone.
Yeah, and could you both tell us a little bit more about the La Bodega series that you just debuted at PCA?
La Bodega is just a different series that we wanted to do that again reflected what we knew growing up in New York City and just the out suburbs of New York and in the Spanish communities. Everyone was, the Bodega was a central point of whatever neighborhood you're in. That was a place where you went to get everything. You play your numbers, you get your food, you get your school books, you even got medicine, just whatever you could find in there you found. And it was, like I said, a central point. So that I wanted to bring that just to show what New York City was about and what comes out of it. So the Rikitaki is a sandwich that you would get at a bodega either late at night at 4 a.m. or in the afternoon, but it was something that was small, full of flavor, and just the name for me, just you say it and people are like Rikitaki and they're like, oh, that's an interesting name. It just sticks in your head. And the one thing that Jesus helped me with was we wanted to have a blend that really embodied that flavor of what a sandwich would have. And with that cigar, I think it knocks it out. And you have the colors from the 90s, the graffiti from the 90s, everything that revolved around the 90s that we grew up with reflects that in that brand. So you'll be seeing more stuff with like unique different names, but kind of goes back to what New York City and also back to where everybody's from, mostly from the Caribbean. So Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, just all this different stuff that comes out of it. And that's something we really want to focus on and make it fun.
Yep.
And Jesus, do you have anything to add about the new series?
On the concept, that was it was mostly Dave. We needed a new cigar uh, to go into PCA, and he kept playing around with this idea. I loved it because, again, I grew up in New York, so it reminds me of my childhood, and that made it really easy to come up with the blend because he's pretty much explained to me what he wanted to go with the cigar, and right away it only took me like two trials to get it what we were happy with because I had such a good idea of what he was talking about because I could relate to it as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that was a key thing because we've all had it. You know, we
yeah,
all know
so
what it
it's
tastes like,
I know what you're talking
sober
about.
or not sober. You had it. So
Yeah, exactly.
you kind of knew what it was, and the Robusto size on it, and it's small and it's just packed with flavor. It's got the strength. It's got this flavor in it. It's really good, and the Corojo wrapper is something that he came up with, and we were stuck on it because, again, going back to the San Andreas, everything was San Andreas, San Andreas, San Andreas, and then I just asked him, I was like, if we don't use San Andreas, what would you go with? And he just turned around and was like, the Corojo, and I was like, all right, and we didn't even sample the Corojo, right? We just said, let's go with that, and man, it just hit the spot, and that just gives credit to him, just knowing what tobacco works together with, and I couldn't be happier.
And you're talking about the San Andreas and your focus groups that you said you have built into your store or factory that come in and you get to try out different things with them. What have you heard from your focus group, quote unquote? What are they, I'm sure that they kind of come in, they maybe talk about other cigars from other companies that they've smoked or whatever. What do they say that they are liking from cigars today? And what are some things that they continually kind of complain about, maybe, about cigars today?
Well, our clientele, like Dave said, the demographic have changed tremendously. What I noticed is like the younger uh, crowd, they don't stick to just one brand, like which is great. It gives everybody an opportunity. They tried everything. If they like it, they recommend it. They keep going and they switch brand. Like before, to get somebody off a brand, it was impossible. Like let's say they smoke Macanudo, like you couldn't give them anything. I'm like, oh, this is not Macanudo. So that is great, especially for a small company. Now people uh, they are more willing to give a new product a shot. Um, One thing that we get from the focus group is they bring out different brands, small, especially boutique. Because everybody knows the big brand. Everybody knows what Padron Fuentes tastes like, unless they come up with a new cigar here and there. But the boutique, they the one keep doing different things, and once uh, a few people keep mentioning the same brand, we try the cigar, and see what everybody's talking about, and kind of like if we ever gonna make a new blend, then you kind of like feed off a little bit of what the people are talking about, and that happened to us with the Nicaraguan tobacco. You know, for a while it was mostly Dominican tobacco that we were using, and then during the cigar boom, Nicaraguan tobacco was coming into play. We tried a couple of times and didn't work out for us. So it, maybe it was we just got our hands in the wrong batch, and I kind of like gave up on it for 3 or 4 years, and then again people kept mentioning Nicaraguan tobacco, Nicaraguan tobacco. And we said, hey, let's try it again. And we did. And at the time, it was much better. And just because from the boss, from people, the last 4 blends that we have come up with, they all have a problem. So you pay attention to the focus group. You pay attention to what's going on out there, and even your own touch.
I think you might agree. A lot more people are looking for complexity in their cigars.
Yeah, true.
That's before, back in the day, everyone was just give me that consistency, don't change. I want that flavor to go from the beginning to the end. But I think now a lot more people want that change in where they're smoking. I want the first third to be second, and I want the third to be the combination of the first two. And it's funny because the way they explain it sounds a lot easier than for him to try to picture what they're trying to say. Because a lot of times they'll come in and like, well, I want a peanut shell taste with a concrete type finish, and you're like, okay, we'll figure that out.
I'll make that. No, but yeah, again, that it all comes from the amount of information that are out there. People are learning. People are learning. They know their stuff. Because for a while people come up and just say, "Give me a strong cigar." And it's like, all right. What else? I just want a strong cigar. I'm like, well, okay. But now, they want the aftertaste, the in the middle, how it ends, so it's more complex, and it's great. It's great. It gives us, more challenge to us, keep us busy, instead of just making. Imagine if we've been doing the same thing for 40 years, that would be pretty boring. So it keeps you on your toe, playing around with different stuff, and that's what a blender like to do. Blend stuff, play around. That's the fun part, about the job.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I know that your business has been around for 50 years, and for any business to be around, even I think like a fraction of that time is something worth celebrating. But it's not an easy thing to do anywhere now, to be around for 50 years. So what do you kind of attribute that that milestone to? Like, how have you lasted 50 years? Because I think anybody who has a business right now can probably benefit from whatever you're going to say as being some of the tools or mentality that has helped get you 5 decades worth of business.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of stuff. First of all, loyalty from your customers, loyalty from the people that work with you. So we have guys that have been with us over 30 years. Yeah, and a lot of work, man. It does take a lot of work. It takes an open mind to adapt changes. Especially the past three years, we had to adapt and kind of change the marketing strategy, because of what happened, and we dealt through the smoking ban. It's just a lot of stuff. You just gotta work hard and have an open mind and be able to adapt to the changes. Can't imagine everything being easy for 48 years. Of course not. You have your challenges. But yeah, it's a whole family work. So you always come happy to come to work because it's a good environment. Then you have your loyals that even if you have a bad day, they can see it like, hey, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
They see you all the time, and those are the things that pick you up. And yeah, but the main thing is I would say is loyalty and hard work.
Yeah. And the other thing too for him is the consistency of the product.
The quality, of course. I mean,
that's-
listen, you can have everything, but if the quality, you're not gonna make it here.
That's one of the things he really
Yeah,
stays on top of is the consistency and the quality of the cigars.
that's
So yeah, that's me meeting people that have been coming here way before, even when his dad was running it, and saying the same thing. Like the consistency, the construction, it's just always on point. And he make sure that, and when you leave here with a cigar, you're gonna get a good experience. We don't want you to leave in here with like fighting it. And there's, it happens. You get cigars that don't. It's a handmade product, so some of them aren't gonna be great. So they'll come back in without. I'd watch them without any question. Just grab it out of their hand, be like, just here. Don't. There's no. You're not smoking right. You didn't light it right. Just here. Enjoy. Relax. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and here in New York, we have to deal with the Four Seasons, so every station we have to adjust. So you always get a little hiccup here and there with the humidor, but we're on top of it. We smoke every day, so we can spot a problem. And again, then you have the loyal direct that they will let you know, hey, this cigar was a little too moist. Oh, this cigar was a little too dry. So that helps. And like I said, of course, the quality has to be there. You can be the nicest guy in the world if the product is not good. Unfortunately, you're not going to make it.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, how easy is it to create a consistent cigar product? Because harvest, you don't get the same tobacco every harvest year because different elements that you can't really control. You're at the mercy of Mother Nature. And I know that everybody who is a good, cigar maker always talks about consistency is key. But like I said, how easy is it to actually create a consistent product year to year to year?
For us, again, like you said, it's not easy because you have a lot of things in play. Like every crop is not the same, but it's pretty close. And the fact that we've been in business for so long, that means we have relationship with the farmers and the distributor that we get our product. So we do have that advantage where they make sure they send us the best stuff that they have, because they also know our situation. We're not down the block. They know if they ship something to us from Nicaragua or Dominican Republic, we in New York. It's not like we can just put it in a truck and return it, So they know that everything that they send us has to be the best they have, and that also helped because of the relationship my father had with them for so many years. I'm dealing with grandkids that my father used to buy tobacco from their grandfather. So that relationship is special. Again, loyalty, and that helped us tremendously to make sure that we get the tobacco that we need as close as possible, unless something major happened with Mother Nature, and then you have no control. And that was we had a blend. It was for a customer, and he asked me for a specific tobacco, and my guy didn't have that tobacco. And he told me, well, but I know this guy that he can get it for you. I'm like, listen, I can do it for you, but just with tobacco you bring me, because I'm not going to start a blend, make the first batch or the second batch, and then now that tobacco is nowhere to be found. I trust my people because I've been dealing with them since I was a little kid. So if I can tell you I can do it, I won't do it. Again, we're here for the long run. I'm not going to make something that I will have to put my family name on it and that I'm not happy with. So I always make sure that if I'm creating something, I will be able to keep the consistency there.
And I know that partnerships and, like you said, working with different clients, like you don't just make cigars for you and your brand, but you also make cigars for other people, and I'm sure that that's helped give your business some longevity.
Of course, yeah.
So I know from speaking to David that one of the recent collaborations you did was you worked with Jay London. So how did that partnership come about, and what's that cigar like?
That partnership came about. We were introduced to Jay London through Luxury Cigars, through Chris and Ben. We did a blend for them called the Hangry, which is really it's done really well, and we get a lot of people coming in asking for it, and we just say you got to get the luxury, not through us. But we were introduced through him by Luxury, and it was at the TP20 that we sat down in Vegas and started to come up with an idea. So we're working on that now, and I think we're looking to release that in November, I believe, November, December. So we're excited. Waiting, it's on his court of when he wants to release the name and everything on that. But it's fun working with him. We had a great time blending the cigar with him, and got to be honest, I'm really excited for that one to come out. So, and then we're also doing a collaboration with Amendola, working on something with him as well, and that should be also coming out in November with him. So it's a good partnership. It's good seeing working with brand owners that have an idea what they want, and it's fun for Jesus to come up with something that they're looking for, and then seeing it be on the shelves and knowing that we made that is really good for us.
Yeah, every customer is obviously not the same, but when you work with guys like Amendola, Jay London, and the guy from Luxury, they know the stuff, so that makes it a lot easier on my end, because they know specifically what they're looking for, and you still got to do a couple of trials and error, but it's a lot easier. It gives you like a great idea, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, you have some guys that they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I can make that.
Yeah, we get guys that since being in New York, I'm trying to Dominican Republic or Nicaragua, they come in and like, I want to get a cigar blended, I want to start my own line, and we're you say yes to hear what it is, but there's some that they unfortunately don't know that much in terms of how to start the company, and you kind of like you gotta lead them in direction. Wow, yeah, you gotta get your other stuff in line before you come here, but it's good to see that people want to try to do something, and
it's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Like and lately, we get a lot of people that want to get into the industry, which is great. We have a limited production, so there's only so much we can make without open doing it, and we very particular on the amount of cigar we produce, because you can do just a little more, but if you go too crazy, obviously the quality is gonna get hurt. So yeah, it's only so much, but we've been doing really good, and again, just to see so many people that are so happy that want to be in the industry, it's oxygen. People showing their love for the industry. It's great for us.
Yeah. But it's funny sometimes they're like, all right, I want to do a blend, and like, all right, how many do you want to start with? And like 100. Yeah, I can't do 100, but we can. You want to do a private blend for yourself, just to do what we could do something like that. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, but again, you sit with them and you explain to them like, this is what you have to do, and once you get all that taken care of, then come back to us, and we'll be more than happy to sit down with you to do something. And and it's funny, they'll call back, I got this done, I got that done. I'm like, all right, cool, just let us know when you're ready.
Yeah, we were talking on Deep Cuts a couple of episodes ago that unfortunately there is no book to tell you how to start your own cigar brand or business. So people kind of come in and with this kind of romantic idea of what it's like to start a cigar brand, and you kind of break down like, well, it's not, it's a business, it's not a hobby. So you got this, this minimum of cigars that you're gonna be able to make. Then you have to worry about this tax, you have to worry about this, license and stuff, and they get, oh my gosh, it's like
exactly where it's at.
A lot of people don't realize the time. It's very time consuming. You got a lot of legwork, especially as a new brand. You gotta travel. You gotta try to be as many event that you can be. Just to grow it. And I'm not sure, but it has to take a while to start seeing profit for somebody to start, because you got to give a tremendous amount of samples, and obviously they got to buy those cigars because they don't manufacture. So what every cigar you give is you got to pay for it. So yeah, it's real tough.
Yeah, and the one thing we tell them is don't expect to get rich and overnight.
Yeah,
like, this has to be a passion of yours that you really want to do, and you're gonna go through ups and downs, and there's gonna be some times you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But that's the one thing I really stress on them is like, it's not something that you're gonna put out a brand, you're gonna sell 100,000 cigars in a year. You might just sell 1,000 or maybe 500, but you got to start somewhere and increase that. And that's where the light goes on. Like, okay, it's not put out a brand, cigar, the shops take it, I sell it, and do another run. I'm like, it's a lot more work, but it doesn't scare them off, which is good. And they want to come back and they're like, what do I have to do next? And that's the whole process.
Yep.
I know you, like I said, I know you all have built this great business because, as the show has gone on, there's been people commenting, and we had someone, Pablo, just comment and said, smoking a Martinez and having a beer, best time I had in New York City. So you have people like that who are watching, and Adrian, who just said, what's good, Martinez fam. So, there's, like I said, I think to me, that's the hardest part of being in the cigar industry is not to take away from what it takes to make the product, but once the product is made, like, how do you build that community and that following, like you said, and get that loyalty? Because it's so easy, I found in the last couple of years, to build a following, and then like maybe you just get so caught up in the business that you kind of let it, you don't pay enough attention to it. It kind of falters, or you post something crazy on Instagram or Facebook, and suddenly people turn on your brand, and if you're owned by another company, they make a comment, and then people want to you. So it's so easy to lose that following. So it's so important to build that loyal fan base. But that's probably the hardest part of the you're juggling so much trying to get the product made that then it comes down to creating, like I said, taking care of your customer, engaging with them. It's like a full-time job within itself.
Just social media alone is a complete another job. You have to be on top of it, and just people write to you on Instagram. And we just had somebody not too long just come in. His brother lives in some other area, and he's like, my brother's coming at 2:00, and blah blah. I'm like, all right, and then shows up, and it's exactly my brother will be here in 2 weeks. I'm like, all right, cool. It's just like it's social media is the only way the cigar industry can get really out there and promote their product. It's hard to get it out anywhere else, especially like I said, Instagram, a lot of podcasts. So that's one thing that you always got to keep aware of, and just see where the trend is going on those platforms and be on top of it. So it is a whole different level of business that you have to really look into. And sometimes on my end, I get caught up on other things. I'm like, I'm not posting enough on this stuff. Gotta get up and post because the algorithms all get screwed up if you don't do it. So yeah, that's one of the challenges for us.
Yeah, for me, it's just making the blends, and and checking on the quality. But when people come in the store, I'm always here, and when they want to drink, I never say no. So, so yeah, when people come and get the store experience, it's easy for me. It's actually fun, because again, we here every day. So whenever you see new faces or the regulars, it's just like boom, it breaks away your day. You start having fun, joking around. So yeah, and that's the memories that people take when they leave this place, and they always stay in touch. So yeah, it's easy. That part, the social media stuff, Dave, I don't know much about that stuff, but the in-store experience, all of us, it's like fun. It's natural.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And when a new guy's here, because he'll be here 5-6 days in a row. Yeah, he's back. He's staying.
Because it's like you said, you don't expect this type of business in New York. In Florida, Miami, Tampa, yeah, you kind of you go for that because you know they there in New York. You either hear about it or just walk upon it. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. They come in, they see how we are, having fun, drinking, having a cigar, just laughing. They're like, wow, you know, they get shocked by it.
Yeah, and it's funny because until I went to Tamboril, Dominican Republic for the first time, it was funny to see because the same way they get together and sit down and have a drink and eat and laugh, it's the same thing we do here. So it's like little Tamboril in this shop, and people get to experience that. And when you walk in here, you're back into the 1970s. Everything's original. Everything you have here is what's most of it's here since when it started, and then just pictures and stuff that comes through as a given. We have a wall full of money from all over the world, which is funny. And then the neon sign we have in front in the shop is the original. So people love seeing that. And it's like, how old is that thing? I was like, 74, maybe even longer, right? Is it longer than 74?
No, 1974.
74, yeah. So it's a unique experience for everybody. And that's what we'd like to see. And, you know, once we give them a beer, they're like, where did this come from? I'm like, we got a whole refrigerator downstairs.
Well, usually at this point of the show, I like to ask two questions that kind of close out the show. So both of you can feel free to answer these questions. The first of those questions is, what is your why, or what is your motivation? Why do you do what you do?
For me, again, it's just it's in my blood. You know, it's family. You know, I'm third generation in the cigar industry, and since a kid, it's all I know. And again, I just started working with my dad and had a great relationship with him, and that was my passion, you know, to help him out. And then I fell in love with the business as well. So that's basically it. It's all I know.
For me, it's the passion as well. I didn't come from a family of tobacco people or anything in the industry. It's just, I got that love coming here and from him. You know, he took me in like a brother, and I'm grateful for that forever. And just being around the guys here and around him and learning, just built that passion even more, and that just love for it. And that's what drives, is just being around these guys and seeing what it's like, and just knowing the culture of people that have been in tobacco their whole lives, and welcoming me in like I'm one of theirs. And that for me is drives me the most.
Awesome. And the last question for today is, someone approaches either of you or both of you. They say that they want to start their own business or brand. It might not necessarily be a cigar business or related to tobacco, but they know that you all have dealt with this area, and they ask you, what's your best advice for them getting started in their entrepreneurial journey or pursuit of, like I said, creating their own company? What advice do you give that person in terms of getting started the right way?
The main thing I would ask, and this is something I talk to my kids about it, like, do you really love what you're about to do? You know, because I mean, we all need money to go around and do the things that we like, but you cannot just do something just because it's popular, and you know, just because cigars, you can make a lot of money. No, you have to look whatever that industry that you want to get in, because you're gonna have to spend a lot of time doing that. And if you don't absolutely love it, I don't see how you're gonna make it. You know.
Yeah, it's the passion one, and the other thing is, don't be scared to fail.
Yeah, definitely.
You're gonna fall. No, there isn't anyone that goes into business and doesn't fall once in a while. You just got to get up and just expect it to happen and just learn from it. And that's, for me, is like, you have the passion, and don't be afraid to fail, and listen, learn.
Yeah.
Take whatever anybody else might have to say to you, and just take it. And you might not agree with it in the beginning, but you go back and sit down and rethink what everyone's told you. And if they've been through it before you have, there's 9 times out of 10, they know what they're talking about. So just keep your ears open, but don't be stubborn.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on today. And before we go, if you could tell people what website they need to follow, what social media they need to start keeping track of, and also, since you do, like I said, you all are, in New York City, you want to tell them exactly where where you are and how to find you, I think that'll be great to add in as well.
Sure. Our website is martinezcigars.com. We located on 29th Street off 7th Avenue in Manhattan. And I believe the social media is also the same thing, Martinez Cigars.
Yeah, it's Martinez Cigars, and Facebook is Martinez Channel.
Martinez Handmade Cigars.
Yeah, Facebook is Martinez Handmade Cigars. That Facebook was done a while ago, so we just left it as is. But it's Handmade Cigars. Like I said, martinezcigars.com and at Martinez Cigars. And just another thing is, we're releasing 2 things coming up. One is the Rikitaki will be shipped out to stores on September 12th, I believe it is. They'll be shipped out then, and also be on sale on our website at martinezcigars.com. And then on September 1st, we're going to be releasing a Patrimonio that has been aged for 3 years with a completely different wrapper that we've had made for TP20 that we didn't bring out. So it's an Aripiraca aged in our humidor for almost 3 years now. And we have a limited quality, so we'll be releasing that on September 1st. So you'll find that on the website as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you both for coming on and spending an hour with us today. And I definitely learned a lot. And the next time I'm in New York City, I'll definitely have to put you all on my to-do list and to visit.
Yes.
Yeah,
we'll have a beer waiting for you too. Don't worry.
I want to, like I said, I want to thank our guests for coming on today, and I want to thank everyone for watching and listening. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, just make sure you hit that like button or subscribe button. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or iHeartRadio or any of the other podcasting platforms, just make sure you hit that subscribe button and also leave a review, because reviews help me to improve the show. And I always say there's always room for improvement, so you're not going to hurt my feelings if you say something that you don't like. And if you saw something that you do like, that's always good to mention as well. So I'll do more of that. We have shows every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's a schedule that I release on Instagram, so you can follow Deep Cuts Live, deep_cuts_live on Instagram. You'll see the updated schedule as shows are booked and announced. And if you missed any of this episode or want to see the other 104 episodes that we've done, you can go to deepcutslive.com. They're all there, and this one will be up later on tonight or tomorrow morning. So definitely a lot to catch up on from Deep Cuts. And I look forward to having you both back on at some point soon. And I'm sure that there's plenty more we can discuss that we couldn't fit into this hour. So I'll definitely follow up with you all about coming back on at some point to talk about some more stuff. So
yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, so thank you everyone, and until next time.
There you go.